Hi, welcome to Everbox Guitar Tuition. So, got another classic album inspection today. An all-time great guitar album from 1987. So, October the 15th, 1987, Surfing with the Alien by Joe Satriani was released. 35 years old today. So, this is undoubtedly the most popular guitar album of its era. The only thing that comes close in terms of sales would be Passion and Warfare by Steve Vai, or Ave Musicom by Eric Johnson, or Guitar Shop by Jeff Beck. That's some of the other ones that did well at this time. So why am I talking about that? Because this album went platinum. Okay, so it's sold 1 million copies in the United States alone. It was declared gold in 1989. It was declared platinum in 1982. To put that into context, how big it is, if you turn that into streams, that would be 1 billion streams. So to contextualise that, if you went and took a player like Guthrie Govan or Andy James or those types of players on YouTube and added up every single stream they have, it probably wouldn't come up with 1 billion. It would be, a few 100 million, maybe. I'm not sure, I haven't counted, but it wouldn't be 1 billion. So it shows you the impact that Satriani was having in terms of his reach. Okay, so this comes on the back of his Not of This Earth album. So Not of This Earth was an instrumental album, home recorded, really self-recorded with John, what's his name? John Cuney-Bertie, I think. Their kind of partnership, he did the programming and production. So Not of This Earth differs from Surfing with Alien in that it's essentially similar. It's got a similar formula. It's got 10 tracks, 2 short instrumentals, none of the songs, but it's a little more quirky. There's some kind of odd songs on it. It's kind of a 6 out of 10. The first time I got that album was the same time I got Surfing with the Aliens, so I went on a computer trip to London. Now, this was basically a quick bit of history. I was in the sixth form for a year at the time. My mates elected to take an extra GCSE while they were in sixth form. They did computing, and I asked the computer teacher, I wasn't doing, look, can I come on the computer trip? Because, I can go with my mates. So we all went down to London, and we went to this computer museum for like 10 minutes, like, right, let's fuck off and let's go record shopping. So the thing I was excited about was we could go to Shades Records in London. So this was a specialist record shop, really small, obscure, got loads of import stuff in, but that would have the Satriani stuff. The Satriani stuff wasn't an import, but it was hard to find, especially Not of This Earth. So the original vinyl had Not of This Earth had the cool planet surface cover with a sort of purple sphere, as it were. The CD cover I've got now is just a crap picture of Satch. But it's pretty cool. So I bought both albums home at the same time, and I think I listened to Not of This Earth first, and then I listened to Surfing with the Alien. At first I was a bit taken aback by the sort of playing style, because Satriani, he's got chops, but he didn't have the chops of, say, McAlpine or Finney Moore or Malmsteen, who'd done instrumental tracks I'd heard up until that point. But as I got more into it, as I went along, there's a couple of things, jumped out to me. One was his vibrato and his string bends. He had a real quality and ability to tease the notes and squeeze the notes. But also, he wrote catchy songs. It was clear these were more, certainly on Surfing with the Alien, they're more composed songs, with cool arrangements. So Surfing kind of built on that. Obviously, he got recognised because Steve Vai mentioned him. He taught Steve Vai in his youth, and then he kind of got this reputation. He's the guy who taught the other guitar players. And then he started doing columns for magazines like Guitar Player, and his theoretical knowledge was amazing. There was only Vai in rock guitar circles who came close and had that amazing way of describing stuff. And I think that was a real inspiration to players of my generation at the time. It was like, you don't just learn guitar, you learn the theory, you learn what's going on behind guitar. And then you can use that to make your guitar playing better or pass that information on. I think a lot of us who ended up teaching guitar, we saw people like Satriani and it was like, oh, well, maybe I can teach guitar. And, eventually you do end up teaching guitar if you don't, get a record deal or do the other things. So, that's sort of a bit of background there. So what's the album like, Surfing with the Aliens? So opening track, 4 minutes and 25 seconds is the title track. It's one of the most popular guitar tracks of all time, instrumental tracks. I think it shows where Satriani differs. It's like a ZZ Top style boogie. It's very influenced by Billy Gibbons. You've got the cool wah-wah licks and the kind of bluesy Dorian mode thing. And then he goes to the Frisian dominant node in the middle, which kind of touches base with what Malmsteen's doing. But I think it kind of shows... one thing Satriani does is, I can't remember who pointed out to me, but you can hear the history of guitar up to that point in Satriani's playing. So he has kind of rock and roll type licks like Scotty Moore, with double stops. he has your classic kind of blues licks, B.B. King, things like that, but also more evolved ones like Eric Clapton or Jeff Beck would play, or Jimmy Page from that era. Then he's got the fusion thing, he does some kind of weird sort of fusion inspired stuff, but he's got his legato, which is inspired by Alan Holdsworth, so he's got an octaves as well from Hendrix and Wes Montgomery, so he's got that kind of more traditional jazz guitar playing a little bit, Hendrix, classic rock playing, Holdsworth with the legato, and then Van Halen with the whammy bars and the tapping. So all these things come out of play, and depending on the song, so you've got a little bit of that variety in this track. So yeah, it's classic. Good punchy track. I think the production as well on the song is nice and clean. I mean, a lot of people say it's a bit cheap, and I don't know. I've been listening to it now. It does sound a bit sort of boxy, but it's cleanly executed. It's not cluttered with reverb and delays. And it's kind of aged pretty well, I think, especially with home recording, which probably some of it was maybe. So next track is Ice 9, another pretty well known track, 4 minutes long, kind of slinky groove on this. Does a cool sort of neck pickup legato thing in this with some crazy whammies. Yeah, he's got really distinctive whammies, Satriani, so he picks the pinch harmonic over the between the bridge and neck pickups, and then uses his whammy with his fretting hand. It's quite unusual, but he gets this quack. So, like for instance, when I do a whammy, I scoop the bar down and then sound the G string, get the harmonics as a gulp, but he gets a quack, and it gives it an amazing attack. So Satriani has some really cool ideas with whammies. Ice 9's cool. Then you got Crushing Day, so this uses a tritone. It's a little more sort of metally. This has the only planned guitar solo on it, because he does a kind of cool kind of arpeggio bit. Apparently he found that frustrating later on because he couldn't cut loose on it. But it's amazing to think these solos are improvised. They're so well structured. But I'm guessing maybe come from a few takes, or maybe just found the zone. And then you've got again another really popular guitar track, Always With You, Always With Me. So again, this just shows his ability to kind of be different from the other players of the time. He's playing this lovely 12/8 ballad with picked part with stretchy chords, and I think it shows his Andy Summers influence. So those kind of big picked chords that Andy Summers does, and you can hear the influence of the Police. And I think that's because he played in a 3-piece himself called the Squares that were probably Police influenced. That had a go at kind of making, getting the deal and stuff. I think that album's been released. Lovely ballad in B major, then just going to B minor, quite a clever modulation, really good use of add 9 chords. Lovely little tapping section, again just using the open string, very simple, not as technical as some of the turn tapping at the time like Vi was doing, but it's musical and accessible, and that's why this album didn't sell 100,000 copies, is why it sold 1 million. And it's the difference between shred and accessible guitar music. Then it finished with Satch Boogie. This is a music shop classic, so you go in a music shop probably into 88 and there'll be people playing, showing off their Satch Boogie. And again, it's got the ZZ Top influence, I guess. Crazy whammy at the start. Another cool sort of tapping thing he does. He's bringing out the flat 5 on the blues, and it's got a bit of phaser on it. Again, using the A string, again, Van Halen influence, a bit Hot for Teacher, So that finished the original side 1. The original vinyl, actually, the cover had the Silver Surfer on, but it was embossed vinyl on the either the Surfer or the Surfboard. It was really cool cover. I sold it foolishly. It's probably worth a bit now. So side 2 opens with Hill of the Skull. This is a short instrumental with big multi-track guitars. Really cool. Again, I think this shows Satriani's savviness. He recognises if he puts, 10 full-length tracks, it's too much guitar, it's too much instrumental. This album's 37 minutes and 33 seconds. If he did 2 standard length songs, he'd be adding another 4 or 5 minutes on the album. So it means the album, you got this quirky little track, and it just means things flow really good. So this is a cool tune. He does loads of overlaid whammies at the end, and I think Vi kind of maybe copied that. Then you've got 328. What track is that? It's is it Echoes? No, not Echoes. Circles. Yeah. Again, it shows he's got a cool clean part on this. He doesn't feel he has to do lead guitar to start off with. Then it breaks down in a middle section, heavies up. He does all the shredding, and then it breaks back down. So it's got this cool kind of ABA structure. But like I said, it's what's interesting is he's got a different take. He's kind of using textures more, and he's being more musical in a way. Then you got Lords of Karma, so this has got a really nice stretchy Lydian chord. If you want to note the first chords, 7, 9, 10, 11 on the high E, so it's like a fifth of sharp 11 on the top, down, and he does a Lydian vibe over this. It's really cool. Like him and Vi were the first people I heard use the Lydian mode, but I think Satriani is the best at it. He creates this ethereal sort of texture with it, which finds its fruition on Flying in a Blue Dream, his classic opener off his next album. Then you've got Midnight again. This is another guitar piece people do. I still get pupils to do it for guitar exams. So he uses two-handed tapping, but creates a kind of flamenco vibe. It's a short piece, 1:42. It's really cool. And then it finishes with Echoes. Again, bringing out his Police influence, some lovely chords. Really nice whammy slurring. He does some backed off, sort of semi-distorted stuff on it. And it shows like dynamics and texture in a way that other guitar albums don't. So yeah, this was a big album for Satriani. After this he did Flying the Blue Dream. I love that album at the time, I still like it. It's too many tracks. It's got 18 tracks, there's part 1s, part 2s, lots of little instrumentals. And it kind of tails off. The first 2 tracks are brilliant. Flying the Blue Dream is one of the best track he ever did. I saw him live in '89, he opened to that, bathed in blue light, doing feedback. It was a fantastic show. And then there's been Mystical Potato Head Groove thing. Then it's just got various tracks. He did some vocal tracks on it as well. And he hasn't got the best voice, and I should know, I try and sing. But that was a good idea. It was a good idea to do some vocal tracks, but he only flirted with that afterwards. I think he just wanted to stretch out. Eric Johnson actually did a couple of vocal tracks, I think Arvir Musicon, which I think's 1990 or 89. But again, that's, it gives it more accessibility. There's the sequel to Surfing with Ale on it, Back to Shallow Bar, which is a great track. I love it. There's some cool stuff like The Forgotten, and Big Bad Moon was probably the best vocal track that was showing his kind of early kind of, Billy Gibbons / rock and roll Scotty Moore type vibe. So it's a good record. It's just too long. It's kind of a 6 out of 10. And then after that, he did The Extremist, and that might be his best album. That's from '92. It's a bit longer than this, 47 minutes and 53. I was going to do a video for it this year, but the thing was, it came out before Surfing with the Alien, so it would have been 30 before Surfing with the Alien was 35. So I thought it was better to celebrate Surfing with the Alien than just include it in this thing, because Surfing's like it's a key guitar album. But on The Extremist, he actually went to 5 studios, had a much bigger budget, because obviously his 2 previous albums had gone platinum and gold, and Extremist went gold. So still 92, he's still selling records, even though grunge is going to be rearing its head. But he recorded at 5 studios. He worked with Andy Johns, the great engineer producer. He had Simon Phillips on it, Jeff Campanelli, Greg Bissonette. So he had Doug Wimbish on the tracks. He had, some great musicians on it. But it started with Friends, one of his best songs, 329, and The Extremist, 343. I like giving the times of these songs just to show you how tight the arrangements are. But they were really good. And then there was War, which was kind of along the track 548. And then Crying, one of his best ballads. That was written, I think, when he's, in response to his father dying, how he's feeling. And I think he did it in one take. He does some amazing bends in it. And it's got... That's classic Satriani squeezing the notes, the way it's almost like he's got the note in his, and people knock Satriani, but he's got some moves that really do set him apart. Then there's Rubina's Blue Sky Happiness. This had some cool acoustics of the 12-string. Again, a song for his wife. So that finished the original side 1 of the vinyl. It was opening out more, and there's more kind of variety in some ways on this record, and production it's got scope, Then he did Summer Song, which is another kind of driving classic of his. 5 minutes, again, a bit longer. I think that's if I got a criticism of the album, he's kind of broken from those tighter arrangements. But it's a great song, Summer Song, and Tears in the Rain is a beautiful instrumental. I still teach that today myself, again, with people have exams. Then there was Why. This had a kind of funky beat and some cool harmonics. It's a nice bass line. I think there's Doug Wimbish play on Why, actually. Just let me see. Doug Wimbish, no, he doesn't. I'm talking crap. But anyway, it's funky. And then there's Motorcycle Driver. This had a great guitar sound at the start. Again, nearly 5 minutes, so again, getting longer. And New Blues finished, which was a cool kind of take on a blues. And he does an amazing whammy that fades in on that. So, yeah, I mean, the Surfing with Alien album kind of zips on. It's kind of more focused, but The Extremist might be his best album. But yeah, so, and also the Extremes, after trying with the vocals from Flying a Blue Dream, he went straight back to instrumental. Then he did the Joe Satriani album, which is his poorest album, is not very good. Then it's Crystal Planet, which has too many tracks, but is a really cool record. Then Engines of Creation, and then I kind of, I kind of left it after that with Sax. I've got to confess, I don't listen to these albums much now. I mean, I put Surfing on to listen to to do this. It was a big part of my life all the way through the back end of the 80s, all the way through the 90s. And Satch, I was listening to him in the early noughties again. I was kind of getting back into that kind of music. And he certainly inspired me writing instrumentals. If I do the instrumentals that I've done, the kind of something in a Satriani vibe, I would claim no originality. It's like I've done a major key ballad. It sounds like Satch, it's that sort of vibe. And certainly approach to the song lengths and arrangements and the idea of putting two short instrumental pieces on, I've nicked that. But obviously it's nowhere near the level of the great man. But that's Surfing with an Alien, 35 years old today. Like I say, very few guitar albums have had the reach of this record. You'd have trouble counting them all on both your hands. Okay, see you again soon. Thanks.